Thank you, Tumfoy Abu Herbert, spokesperson for MoRISC. We just completed a 2-day retreat here in Hagerstown, where it seems as if the entire steering committee got new life. They left here today excited. I saw a lot of excitement in the faces of members of the team. There was a new executive team that was put into place. There was just so much that people left with from this seminar. How do you summarize it? How do you tell people how much has been achieved over the last 2 days?
Well, the retreat here was for a steering committee. The purpose was build a team, agree a revised plan that adjusts to what the situation is on the ground, and define some clear things that will be happening going forward as we implement the roadmap towards independence. And the main points that came out was, one, we celebrated the kind of progress that we are seeing from the diplomatic front, from the lobbying front, especially what is becoming increasingly a growing list of countries that would like to recognize Southern Cameroon as soon as it establishes as an independent state, countries that are willing to work with us to make sure that we are seated as members of the Economic Community of West African States, as members of the Commonwealth, as members of the African Union, as members of the United Nations. In short, as a sovereign people who have restored their international sovereignty and their independence. And so that's one piece of excitement. The second piece of excitement is that we agree that in implementing the roadmap and recognizing the slippages that we've had because of conditions on the ground, because of what the colonial regime is doing, that we now are looking straight at establishing an interim government for Southern Cameroon by May 2017, and that we are on course to restore independence on the 1st of October 2017 as initially promised.
Speak to us a little more about the government, the importance of establishing a foreign government. Can you tell us where will that be? Will that be in the diaspora, or will that be at home on the ground in Southern Cameroon?
First, the purpose is MoRISC was established to help pull together and work for the existing organizations. So there have been some misinterpretation that we are not another organization. We're helping existing organizations, the ones that will potentially transform into political parties once the new state of Southern Cameroon is established and recognized. We're helping those organizations to pull together their interim government, and we announced a roadmap that was accepted by most. At least it is the only roadmap that is out there targeting our restoration of independence by the 1st of October. So we will be working on establishing a government through an election. It's important that we go through that process because the United Nations under Principles 7 and 8 of Resolution 1541 of 15 December 1960 says that we can separate from La République if it is the will of our people. And we will establish the will of our people through an election. In this particular case, it's going to be an indirect election. It will be up to our people to determine what kind of government that is. Under circumstances such as ours and with other countries, we've seen them establish a government out of the territory, therefore a government in exile that then claims its territory. But we may see our people call for effective presence of our government on the territory, defending and claiming our territory at the same time.
When you talk about, indirect elections, could you be more specific to help our listener, those who are watching us, to know what an indirect election is?
I mean, usually you would establish a leadership for a country either through direct elections, so all citizens are called to the polls, they elect their leaders, or you can do that through indirect, which means that officials who are already elected, so councillors, members of parliament, senators, leaders of recognized organizations, student groups, religious leaders, chiefs and funds, this long list of people we established already in the roadmap, those will be those who will be called forward to elect a prime minister for Southern Cameroon in May 2017.
We are facing a problem back home that we've never understood before in terms of magnitude, where the people have shown a lot of resilience, where the people have been steadfast in their opposition to all what they've been going through for the last 55 years. But there comes a time when you feel like the people could be losing that kind of energy to keep on keeping on. How do you encourage them to not give up, to understand that it may be a slow process, but it's a certain process, and that the outcome is certain for us if they keep it up?
I couldn't say it any better than I heard it being said by Mr. Innocent himself. God is on our side. History is on our side. International law is on our side. Diplomacy is on our side. The argument, the force of argument is on our side, and even the government of La République du Cameroon is on our side, in the sense that they continue to just give us justification not to continue to belong in a colonial system. Our people, on their part, only have to deny consent. What happens with a colonial government, as we saw when you take a place like the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic before it broke down, when people give consent to that government, then they govern you. In our case, Yaoundé has always pretended that we've given them consent. And to some extent, our people did. Some extent, our parents did. They trusted them with everything, with their lives, with their country, with their flag, with their anthem, with their system of government. And what did they do? They abused that trust. And therefore, we have turned our back on that, and we are working right now on restoring. Now, our people know that after you have given up so much, in sweat, in blood, over 100 people killed. I think the number from the Concord newspaper is 102. Thousands and thousands of people arrested illegally, detained, tortured, killed, disappeared, and currently living in a state of fear. I mean, this is, in many ways, it's got all the trappings of genocide, it's got all the trappings of fascism. This is the kind of government that should never be accepted by any people. In fact, I'm surprised that Francophone Cameroonians are standing by, watching this government do what it is doing.
Back here in the United States of America, as well as in the diaspora in general, you have a big task of pulling together all the forces for independence. How are you doing? How do you? There's only 24 hours in a day, and I bet you have hundreds of calls coming to you. How do you work with each and every leader who wants to achieve independence? Maybe not through the nonviolent form that MoRISC has opted for. How's the working relationship with all these other organizations?
I think one of the most comforting things is that even when you hear often from La République that some of our leaders and organizations would like to follow a route different than the peaceful, legal, and non-violent means, when you check out from the leaders themselves, what they tell you is that our people have a right to self-defense, and they are articulating an argument in support of that right to self-defense. So that takes out that issue of people being prone to violence. Our people will not attack anyone, but they claim the right to defend themselves. It's a right that comes from God. It is a right that is recognized by every law. But coming to our workings with all the organizations, our objective at MoRISC is to help these organizations, serve them as a platform, regrouping everyone and helping them to work. Now, there have been other organizations like SCACUF indicating that they want to do the same thing. Obviously, we will support any organization that is contributing and working towards the same objective. What we try to do is to say, because we have a roadmap put together, we're saying this has rallied our people in an incredible way, in a way that we've never seen before. We've never seen, at least in the last 55 years. And we're saying now we have an obligation to deliver on that. And so we will be working with renewed vigor to try to reach out to every single leader and pull them around on this diplomatic front, on the demonstrations that we are doing, on the notice that we are serving all international organizations. And by the way, when we go to the UN and we go to the African Union, it is not to ask them for independence because we already have it. It is just to ask them to recognize and to note in their calendar, save the date, we intend to restore our independence on the 1st of October. You know what that means. You know, you remember that you voted for it. You remember that we obtained it. And therefore, because it did not materialize, we are now going to make sure that as a free people, that we actualize, that we materialize our independence.
Lots of activities coming up on the calendar for you, lots of demonstrations taking place. Could you just tell the people which ones to look for the most in the weeks ahead?
In the weeks ahead, look out. There's going to be a lot of work coming out of wards and chapters starting all across the United States and all across Europe. These are all groups of people who will be joining MoRISC for the purposes of helping the organizations come together and do what we need to do, which is restore the independence of our country. We will see women's group, we will see youth groups, and we will see also a series of activities and demonstrations. There will be demonstrations in front of the African Union Commission here in Washington, D.C. That will be on the 21st of April, and they will be followed the next day by 3 demonstrations, one outside the White House and the other 2 outside the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. And we are serving notice to these last 2 institutions, the World Bank and the IMF, not to continue to do business with the colonial government of La République du Cameroon in the name of the people of Southern Cameroon. Sure, they can continue to do business with them in the name of the people of La République du Cameroon, but not in the name of our people. And the World Bank and the IMF know this very well. In a country like Tanzania, they provide programs for Zanzibar in the name of Zanzibar and to the government of Zanzibar. They would need to do that with the government of the people of Southern Cameroon. We will not be held liable for loans and grants that are awarded today to the government of La République du Cameroon.
Final thoughts?
My final thought would be every Southern Cameroonian is called to this mission of liberation. They are called to this mission of freedom, to this mission of dignity. It is not one man's fight. It is not only about fixing history. It is also about fixing justice. It is about fixing the dignity that God gave us. It is our right to claim back territory that was given to us by God. It is our right to claim back the flag, to claim back a national anthem, to claim back our right to govern ourselves, to run our own governments and take care of our own affairs. We cannot understand except to explain it through colonialism that a government would not want to see us do that. So the government of La République is setting out to deny people dignity that comes to them from God. And that same God encourages all of us, and all international law encourages all of us. If a government is up to no good, it is a government you should do away with.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.